Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. So you want your players to take chances and to be aggressive. How do you build confidence in your players?
So confidence, I think, and my master's is in sports psychology. And so I've done some research on some of these things. And, for us, it really boils down to one, they have to have the skill to do it. And so if you're not skilled enough to be a good shooter, and I know Kelvin Sampson always says, why do I want to give confidence to a guy that can't shoot? Well, that guy probably doesn't have confidence because he can't shoot, and so you have to have the skill. So, and then there's guys that have this irrational confidence that think I am great even if they're shooting 20%.
That's insanity. And we don't want insane people on our teams.
Yeah. And so we want the guy that they first have to have that skill that they at least understand, hey, good things can happen, right? When I'm standing on over a 5-foot putt, my confidence is next to nothing because I know I miss a lot of those putts. And so that's really important for us. The next thing is you have to exhibit that skill in front of your peers, right? And so if your peers see you missing shot after shot after shot, well, they don't have very much confidence in you, and you're not going to have very much confidence in yourself. Because if you and we do this a lot, where we'll have guys shoot free throws in front of their team for conditioning. Well, if a guy always makes that free throw, now his confidence is going to be through the roof when it comes to crunch time, and he's got to make free throws. If a guy's missing that shot every time he comes out in front of us, well, then all of a sudden their confidence is going to be hurting a little bit because he knows in the back of his mind, I'm not sure my teammates really think that I can do this or that, or how important it is if teammates say, man, you shoot great in practice, you got to keep shooting in the game, and you got to do that. Well, that gives me confidence now because I know that they've seen me do it, and I know they believe in me a little bit. So that's important for us. Visualization is a big deal with confidence. If a kid's struggling shooting the ball, he's gone on a cold streak or whatever, we'll bring him in and we'll show him 50 made threes that he's made.
Yeah.
Say, look at this, man, you're not a bad shooter. You've had a couple bad games. Look at all those shots. What were you thinking during those shots? What are you thinking watching this right now? What kind of player do you see right there? We'll have him describe I feel like I'm stepping in that, not worried about it. Well, yeah, that's part of confidence. You can't wonder if the ball is going to go in if you're a confident player and you're a good shooter. Or you can't wonder if you can take care of the ball as a point guard. Look at you bringing it up against this really good defender here and showing him those things. That's going to be important. I think getting reinforcement from their teammates, like we said before, and reinforcement from your coach. Leadership style matters a lot. And I've seen players that come from other places that didn't have confidence, even though they're a really good shooter, or because they would miss a couple of shots and their coach takes them out, or their coach yells at them for taking that shot when they weren't sure what shot to take. And your leadership stuff matters to confidence of your players. And you don't want to give confidence to the 20% 3-point shooter, but you do want to give confidence in what they do well. And that goes back to what is your best attribute. That's what I want you to have confidence in, is whatever your best attribute is. Because if your best attribute is driving the basketball, I want you to believe you can drive the ball on anybody out there. If your best attribute is shooting the ball, you got to be looking for your shot. You have to know that shot's going to go in and that we all want you to take that shot. And we tell people all the time, if you don't shoot that is selfish.
Yeah,
because
it's a turnover. Yeah,
that's your job. You've got to shoot that ball and do those things. And then the last thing that we really try to focus on is our players have to know that when we're practicing and we're working on skills, it's a deliberate practice, meaning it's okay to miss that shot 20 times in a row. And I would use Jalen Scott as an example again. I watched him. He does not have the best touch around the basket. And we would always kind of give him a hard time about that. But we went and worked on just overhand finishes and working on his around the basket finishes. I watched the guy miss 18 in a row. And he's a first-team All-American. He's playing at a Division I school now. But here's the reason he became great is he never shot the 18th and then felt I guess, scared of it. And so
Yeah.
then he would change it and say, okay, well, I don't want to shoot it this way. I'm going to shoot it so I know it goes in. Well, you're not getting the right habits. And so we want guys to understand that they can make mistakes in the player development side of things, because once you realize, like, oh, I can make mistakes and I can dribble the ball off my foot, well, then all of a sudden you're going to get better at your skills and you're not going to feel self-conscious about making those mistakes. That's okay. Like, we're all in it. I make mistakes. Everybody in here screws up at one point in time or another. Like that's just part of being human. And so we try to focus on all those things with confidence. And I'll text my guys a lot, man, I love watching you practice today. You really got after it. Or hey, man,
that's good. That's like, good.
Them hearing those things and seeing those things, and kids love getting texts from coaches saying that they believe in them. I think that's a big deal.
That's good. If I didn't know any better, I feel like you had attended a PGC shooting college, because it's a lot of large part of the shooting that we do there is about their confidence. And where does it come from? It comes from preparation and what you think about all day. That preparation piece, you nailed it. Like, kids cannot lie to themselves. They can't look in the mirror and say, I can fly a plane, if they've never done the work. And so step one, do the work. I loved what you said about them doing it in front of their peers. That goes back to like the conversation that I might have as a parent at a high school. Like, the parent says, man, at our driveway, when the sun's shining and there's no wind and everything's perfect, he hits it every time. Oh, that's great. I don't care about that. I care about in the shooting games that we play, in the moment where it really matters in practice, and does he make them in front of his teammates, like you said. And then I do agree, even though their confidence has a lot to do with them, as coaches, we have a responsibility to, one, maybe stop the insanity and give them the tools to train intentionally so they can actually feel prepared. Mm-hmm. But then to protect their confidence at times, to show them highlights of, listen, you need to remember when you've done this really well, because right now you've forgotten. Mm-hmm. And in those moments, you just missed 7 in a row. But listen, what's about to happen is you're about to go off, and help them step into that. So great reminders there, man.
And I think one of the things I like to do to our players every once in a while is, before a game, if I know a kid maybe hasn't shot it great, I'll tell them, I'll say, you know what, I got a really good feeling about you today. I got a really good feeling you're going to play, you're going to shoot the ball well, or whatever else. And that's like, I think every time I say that, a kid's like, ooh, man, that's exciting. And sometimes it works out. And so what do you tell them? I told you I had a good feeling about that, and now you're going to be on fire. And if they don't shoot it well, they'll forget you even said that. So
that's right. Don't come back and be like, hey, I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wrong. You were terrible today.
Yeah. I made a huge mistake. No, I love that, man. Like, great reminders right there. And I've found that when you talk to players like that, and especially if the training is on point, if you're training them the right way, if they're putting in the time, and then you speak to them like that, I mean, it usually works out. Like, they do the things. Like, there's something to it. It's not like you're just hoping or guessing. Like, don't base your game on hope. Don't coach based on hope. But I think you're actually trying to help them believe in themselves the same way that you do. That's great, man. Yep. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.